into the pit lane. It was a late call then for the safety car to come in, and it is the responsibility of our pole sitter and P2 on the grid to control the pace of the rolling start then. Hold on to your hats and any other form of loose clothing that you may have about you. This is Coppa Shell and Coppa Shell Am racing from Ferrari Challenge. It's going to be something else as they head towards the gantry then, and the green flag goes. Bruce Cleveland was very lively at the start and has made up a place already. Said he could be one to watch, and on cold tyres now as they start to climb uphill. A big grid of Ferrari Challenge 296 cars then making their way around this extraordinary circuit, just being squeezed out there. That was for P5. And, well, you can see that Mitchell Green has done exactly what he needed to do, and that's get himself up the road as best he can ahead of Chuck Whittle. And then it's Gary Ott and Jan Bernier. Now, from this helicopter shot, you can see drivers dive into the inside there, taking something of a real, sometimes it's called a dive bomb, isn't it, when you get to the inside and just you're determined on that line and go ahead of the car alongside you. And there are moves going on in the opening stages of this when the tyres are at their coldest. You've got to be really brave because the grip is perhaps not optimized yet. Just chuck it across the curbs, and well, that was a good move there, Andrew.
It was. I think Bernier might be up in P2, Dave. I'm not sure from the long shots. I'm not sure because there was so much going on at the start. I haven't seen the leaders since we got out of turn 1 and turn 2. He's orange and blue, I think.
Yes, he is.
I think, but I need to say I could well be wrong. Green, though, as you say, got everything right. It's all the liveries, of course, are new to us. Dave's been here 7 years, but they all changed liveries over the winter, Dave, much to our frustration as announcers.
Well, Jan Bernier certainly didn't, so if you've picked up on that, then...
well, I'm only from a distance.
You're right, Jan Bernier is P2.
So Whittle lost out big time, didn't he, at the start?
And Jan Bernier, I said, and if you'll forgive me for this, I said he could be one to watch. So Jan Bernier has put it up to P2. You're absolutely right. There he is. And there is Mitchell Green, who is leading. Lance Corley and Gabe Harib remain P1 and P2 in AMS at the moment. That's a big off. That's a big off.
It was Cleveland that you called right, wasn't it, who went up a place from P6 to P5. And then I guess, is that going to be a red flag, do you think?
No.
Are they far enough off?
I don't know.
That's only turn 2. It's a slow corner. They're a fair way off. They might, race to control might let them get away with that.
Well, it'll be if nothing else, it'll be a full course yellow, I would think. There's Jeff Nunberg that we can see. So here comes a replay of what happened there. Oh, just offline. Oh, and that's really unfortunate. Because just in the wrong place at the wrong time and getting T-boned there.
Was it Hummel that got T-boned?
That was really unfortunate. A full course yellow. So the cars will be under the guidance of the safety car on this full course yellow then.
I think it's Hummel that got collected. I'm not sure. And again, as you say, so unlucky because Hummel's busily getting on the brakes to turn in to the right. Is it? Oh, it's hard to see. Oh, 176 on the back.
That surely isn't
Lance
Corley. It can't be because
we have to scroll the timing screen. There are so many entries in this race.
I think is it Al Hegyi, who's driver of car number 178, because we could see the 1 and the 7, and I think it's Al Hegyi. Let's wait and see. Well, the timing screen will catch up in a moment once they complete another lap. But of course, they're not doing it very quickly at the moment. But to be fair,
Corley and Hummel are plummeting down the screen.
They are.
Corley and Hummel. They're plummeting down the screen now.
What a shame.
So Hummel, of course, had that disastrous qualifying earlier on today. Didn't you end up? I think you said he didn't do a lap, or if he did do a lap, he didn't get a quick one in, and ended up at the back of the Shell runners, the Coppa Shell runners. So row 10 was it?
That means that the Ferrari of Atlanta stronghold that they had across P1 and P2, it's now Gabe Harib who's leading, and it'll be Steve Check, therefore, that will be P2. And Jeff Nunberg up to P3. So, yes, it was. We could see the 17, couldn't we, in both Al Hickey and Lance Corley's cars are similar colours, so that's why we're trying to extrapolate who it was. And until the timing screen started moving...
Yeah, no, and then they just fell down it together, didn't they? The little red arrow on the left-hand side that we get here shows a driver moving down. When they start crossing the start-finish line, the two of them were falling down together, so it's a great shame. It happens. It happens.
Motor racing is beautiful, but it can be brutal as well, as we've said so many times. So the clock continues to count down whilst we're on this full course yellow. Mitchell Green, Jan Bernier, Gary Ott, then the top three in the Shell drivers. For the AM drivers, it's Gabe Harib and Steve Czech and Jeff Nunberg. So there we go. The safety car then leading the cars away. A number of drivers who feel that opportunities are being gifted to them potentially now, and one big beneficiary of this full course yellow could be Jan Bernier, and equally it could be Steve Czech. So I'm looking at both the categories here, the Shell and the Shell AM drivers, as to who will try, once the cars are recovered to safety, who will try and make hay while the sun continues to shine here. So Ferrari of Atlanta, Gabe Harib then in the 102 car is the best of the Shell AM drivers. And very, very unfortunate to see Lance Corley and Henry Hummel out of the race, causing this full course yellow. And I don't think the recovery operation, Andrew, is going to be a huge length of time, but for safety purposes, where those cars were positioned, it had to be a full course yellow.
Yeah, it did. It's about how they recover the car. So with the front right corner, I think, was broken, wasn't it, on the steering of one of the two cars, which might mean it needs a flatbed. So by that we mean you take a truck and you pull the car on. That's what the little red loops are for. If you look on the front of each of the cars, there's a little yellow arrow that's on the back as well, look, and that points down. Yeah, they're the tow points effectively to allow the cars to be either towed from the gravel or attached to a flatbed. So depending on how the car is broken and what series it's in, I mean, you know, still in F1, haven't we? They put a strap through the roll hoop, pick the car up.
Yeah.
But you can't do that with these. Obviously, they need pulling onto a truck. So when we go past, we may get a better look at the recovery process and an idea of how long it might take.
Ferrari of Central New Jersey driver Jeffrey Nunberg, look, up to P3 is Stefano Guy there, who's one of the driver coaches. You can see Stefano Guy, who looks after Richard Pineda. And Richard Pineda running P15 at the moment. I say running P15 at the moment. Of course, the race has hardly done a lap, has it? And there you can see the recovery going on, and drivers. That's why the cars have come to such a slow speed, because they're being urged. That is going to be a flatbed, I think.
Yeah, it is in the background. You can see it. So the yellow truck, the flatbed's down, I think, ready to recover a vehicle. We've got a great shot there as well of some of the resurfaced parts of this track, Dave, where they've put in just it's quite strange to see the way it's been done. Strips of black tarmac drawn the racing line. And you know, over time you get heave in the ground and the tarmac starts to move around, and they make the decision they wanted to improve the surface. That can be due to the track moving, or it can be, say, due to the surface changing. But the drivers have said here again on the inside you can see some strips of different pavement, and the drivers have said that's helped with tyre longevity, so smoother surface. And of course this will be helping with tyre longevity as well, because any laps where you're not going flat out, you're not really leaning on that rubber.
I was going to say, you're not pushing those tyres as hard, are you?
Oh, door off.
That's a door.
That's more than a mirror, isn't it, which we saw in the first one. We never did see whether there was another mirror out there, did we?
No, we didn't. No,
we didn't. Our investigative skills were underway. The mirror's off. Where's the other one?
Now you can see you could see on the graphics on the left-hand side of your screen 3 red bars up against Bruce Cleveland. Now I thought, and I did say, he's had a very good start. Obviously race control and didn't get too good a start.
He made up one position, didn't he? You said that's what you called at the start, and as I say, Bernier as well. Bernier as well. So that's who I called. So we've given them the announcer's curse, I'm afraid, both of us. So they both made up positions, and each of those red lines, Dave, you were explaining to me. Obviously, I'm new to Ferrari Challenge North America.
Each red bar is worth 5 seconds. In a negative sense. So it's a 5-second time penalty times 3, which means 15-second time penalty for Jan Bernier and also for Bruce Cleveland.
Look at the damage on Bernier's front left corner. So there's damage to the headlight and also some rubbing up against the wrap on the car.
Now, those time penalties, Andrew, as I just explain a little bit more, is it's not the end of the day necessarily. Jan Bernier needs to finish at least 15 seconds ahead of Gary Ott to hold on to that P2, if you like. Wherever he finishes, he needs to have a margin of 15 seconds, and the same applies to Bruce Cleveland as well.
Where they are on track, Dave, I'd be thinking, all right, I'm going to go for it then. You've given me... Thing is, they've got time to think about it. So their coaches will be on the radio now going, you've got a 15-second penalty.
They're running out of time because we're behind the safety car.
Yeah, true.
And
they
we've
want
only got 20 and a half minutes.
Gap here, but my point really is the two drivers who really went for it at the start are going to have to really go for it again at the restart, aren't they? There's no question about that. They're going to go fully lit. There are the teams now
very
nervously
calm
waiting
down there
for the
on
green
the
flag.
Scuderia 1999 team at the moment, isn't it? It's very calm. Oh, we're on the telly.
I don't think it's as calm. I think they're listening and they're not as calm as we're saying they are. They're doing a good job of it.
Gerdas Venslovas. Hello, Gerdas. Oh, that's nice to see. He was enjoying Casa Ferrari, wasn't he? Having just been out in his Trofeo Pirelli race. So there's the 129 car.
That's the one that had the broken front right corner, which I thought was going to have to be put on the trailer. So that's on the flatbed and gone, or will be gone very shortly.
So, getting confirmation from our producer that both Jan Bernier and Bruce Cleveland have got those jump starts. So, based on you and me both calling them doing very, very well at the start, they're going to tell us to shut up.
We'd have been given a jump start too, I'm afraid, wouldn't we, Dave? There's no question about that. I wonder if maybe there'll be a drive. There's the door off too on the right-hand side, so it really was a fair old whack. There's mud up the left-hand side of the car where it's come into contact with the conveyor belt, which is around the tyre wall. That's a great shot, look, from Carousel down to turn 7 from the front there. You could really see in the distance. This gives you a good idea of the sheer size of the Coppa Shell field. What was it, 36 cars? Look, they're still coming out of Carousel as the lead cars are going through the end of the S's. And we're on a slow lap. You know, this we're behind the safety car. But it's wonderful. There's this wonderful long, narrow circuit. Look, either side of the drag strip, as we say in there. But for me, it's that what really makes this circuit is that fantastic first sector that climbs up from turn 1. Here's the crucial S's. Listen for the curbs on the left. Yeah, you didn't hear it quite so much. Maybe on the right, when they run over it, you just hear the noise as they run over. This is the particular one which when they're flat out, they have to take very fast, get the car straight, and then into the right-hand side. 110 miles an hour, they're saying this right-hander is into the braking area for turn 11.
You considered a career in sound effects?
I have actually, yeah. I do a very good turbo wastegate noise as well, but I'll save that for later in the year if we have any more red flags.
We're on board with Melissa Kozira. Melissa Kozira then with a fantastic 296 challenge car running a onboard camera for us.
And a fantastic golden retriever there as well. Lovely to see. I saw that dog yesterday. One of you can see on the side it's a medical alert dog, and I just think it is incredible what they train these wonderful animals to do.
So intelligent.
Yeah, they are. They're brilliant. They really are.
Okay, cars climbing uphill once again. I don't think we're many minutes away from getting the greens and going back to racing action. But when we do, we're going to have about half of the race duration left, I reckon.
And you and me are going to have my favourite thing, which is live maths, where we have to add 15 seconds on. It is every race announcer's worst thing is championship day when you're trying to add the points up whilst also looking at gaps as the cars come around the circuit. Live maths is notoriously the worst part of a television announcer's job. And now we have live maths to do on the gaps as well. But the fun part is if Bernier or Cleveland can get amongst it and get that gap. But Bernier has got to try and get past.
He's got to get past Mitchell Gray. It's the only way he's got any hope of doing it.
Agreed.
And he's then, in the space of 15 minutes, he's got to find a second for every minute of race duration remaining. That's going to be a tall order.
Mitchell Green was, I'm just going to go steady. I'm just going to see if I can finish this race. We're halfway through the race, admittedly behind the safety car for a fair bit of it, and he still leads. So this could be converting a first pole to what, well, my history's not so hot. And this is my first event here for Ferrari Challenge North America, but if it's his first pole, I'm guessing it's going to be his first win. That's what I'm thinking too.
I'd have to go back in the history books.
I can look through last year's stats. This is only his second year, isn't it, I believe?
Not brought that book with me, I'm afraid
I've got a couple of pages of it printed. Let me have a look. You on. You talk.
You didn't share your sweets, I know. That bag is
do you like a skittle? They're suitably Ferrari coloured.
No, I don't. This is part of Casa Ferrari, where the road car models are on display. The beautiful cars, beautiful Casa Ferrari get looked after so well here in Ferrari, that's for sure. So we're into the final 16 minutes of this race, and we're still on this full course yellow. Bear in mind that from here we go to a very, very different circuit, and that is Daytona. Then for the first time to the Miami Autodrome, which is the Formula One circuit, of course, in Miami. Then Indianapolis, where I have to say I've had the hot lap of my life at Indianapolis a couple of years ago. Then it's Watkins Glen, then it is Laguna Seca, and then the finale Mondiali this year being held at the Mugello circuit in Italy. And that is towards the end of October, so an awful lot of racing to be done before then, but it's a really, really effective calendar for this year, a really good calendar. A safety car has come in, and we are about to go racing again as the full course yellow is going to be lifted. Safety car is in. Mitchell Green, Jan Bernier, as they head towards the timing line. Then let's go racing once again. So Mitchell Green then does that all very well. Jan Bernier does need to get by and then try and build up a margin of 15 seconds. That's going to be a tall order in 14.5 minutes. And Mitchell Green has not put a foot wrong so far. Admittedly, he hasn't had to do a lot of racing so far because the race only gets going proper right now. Mitchell Green leading for the Shell drivers. Gabe Harib leading for the Shell AM drivers. So this is it. Gloves are off, Andrew.
They are indeed. Mitchell Green with that fastest lap from the previous part of the race of 1:34.707. That's literally 83 hundredths quicker than Bernier has gone behind, but Bernier's got to get through. And then he's got to gap him. And I just think 15 seconds is too much of a tall order. Having said that, of course, if those two can get away from the rest of the field, they could still, Bernier could still hold on to a podium position.
Of course. Yes,
so they've got to get running, get going.
Well, that's exactly what they are doing. Then Gabe Harib from Steve Czech. Now Steve Czech will be determined to get on terms with Gabe Harib, but you can see this is the battle that's going on for P2 in the AM drivers. Steve Czech in the gold car. Right behind is Jeff Nunberg. Now Jeff Nunberg absolutely determined. Look, he's P3 at the moment. He doesn't want to be P3. What they've got some Shell drivers in front of them as well, which is protecting Gabe Harib. I think that's Joe Sposado in the all-white car there. So Steve Czech, Jeff Nunberg. Steve is having to drive and try and attack Joe Sposado, but also keep half an eye on the rearview screen as well, because Jeff Nunberg is going to be keen. Is Jeff Nunberg going to take a look towards the inside as they come in towards turn number 11? Well, we didn't stay with that shot, so I wasn't able to see, but no, he didn't. So Steve Czech accelerates out now. As you say, they get as close to that concrete wall as they dare. And for me, Steve Czech doing well as we look at the flippy flop.
Great, isn't it? It's such a great name.
There is Gabe Harib then leading for the Shell AM drivers and setting the fastest lap at 1:39.849. Now he has got the benefit of a cushion of a Shell driver between himself and Steve Czech and Jeff Nunberg. So Gabe Harib can just focus on getting up the road, and if he can, get past Andrew Parker and maybe Alberto Duran as well, who are both Shell drivers, and that will give him even more of a margin over these two, which is Steve Czech in the gold car there, and Jeffrey Nunberg. They are running P2 and P3 in the Coppa Shell AM class with the black strip across the top of the windscreen. Look at Jeff Nunberg taking a completely different line, trying to get to the outside of Steve Czech. Steve Czech, though, he was able to hold on to that, but Jeffrey Nunberg, I think, for my money, Andrew, is carrying a bit more speed here, and he's all over the back of Steve Czech. Steve is smooth and consistent, and he's going to try and find a way past Joe Sposado, but is that going to open up a gap for Jeffrey Nunberg here? So Nunberg is all over the back of Steve Czech at the moment, as Steve Czech is trying to attack the car ahead of him as well, which is Joe Sposado. Jeffrey Nunberg, who, it has to be said, has got Paul Lynn breathing down his neck.
Tricky to know, isn't it, what's going to happen here. Sposado, they were all over the back of Sposado up at turn 7, as we see one car run all the way out over the dirt and then look to the inside line, getting a bit brave, not quite close enough though. That is, as we scroll the timing screen just a little bit further.
I'm pretty sure that's Paul Lynn.
Yeah, it is. It is, yeah, 195 is Paul Lynn. So yeah, there may be saying Carroll's just made a move on Gaio, which is unseen by you, but we can see that on our timing screens. Another dive up the inside.
Yeah, that was a brave move coming from the 1-2-2 car of Jarrett Bilicek on Bruce Cleveland. Now, Bruce Cleveland, another driver, of course, who's got this Damoclesian sword of that time penalty hanging over him. And Bruce Cleveland then, who was adjudged by race control to have been a tad too eager at the start of the race, he's got a 15-second time penalty to come. So Bilicek doesn't really need to work too hard in terms of overtaking Bruce Cleveland, because it's going to benefit anyway. But of course, he wants to get in terms with Chuck Whittle and Gary Ott. Jan Bernier, who also is suffering the same fate. So it's not unreasonable or unrealistic that somebody like Bilicek could find himself in a provisional podium place.
Absolutely, and I imagine they'll be being kept across that by their teams. I'm just looking at Bernier. I mean, at the minute, that 15-second penalty would drop him down a fair way. Let's see what happens as we come across the start-finish line again and trigger our timing. Then we'll be able to see how far back, whether Bernier can hold on. At the minute, I don't think he's got enough of a gap, but if you look, there is a gap opening up between Ott and Whittle, it seems, but by how much? Well, not enough. 3.2 between Ott and Whittle.
Riding on board with Melissa Kosira here, running P10 in Coppa Am, and chasing down Darren Bernstein ahead. So it's lovely to be on board with Melissa Kosira now. She brakes hard for turn 11, gets right up close to Darren Bernstein. Is she going to be able to get a better exit out of here? Down on the gas, give it everything you can. Hug that wall as close as you dare, very nearly trading paint with the wall. That's how close you get. Carrying as much speed uphill, little lift there before back on the gas, full chat flat over the curbs. Sorry for the lack of sound effects on that particular curve incident, as Melissa Kosira continuing to chase Darren Bernstein here. Loving this onboard lap, thanks to our TV crew for giving us this, because it is in a real race situation, as Melissa took a look at the inside then, and Steve Check, you can see the 124 car of Steve Check there. Where is Jeff Nunberg? Where's Jeffrey Nunberg? I'm not...
Nunberg's...
Has Nunberg got past?
So I saw some Nunberg is still showing on time.
There is Jeffrey Nunberg. He is. He's on the back of Gabe Harib now. So this is going to be a fight for the lead of the race. Gabe Harib is being held up by the shell drivers of Osvaldo Gallo and Andrew Parker. Get it right, Dave. So all of a sudden, Gabe Harib, he'd got a privileged existence, hadn't he? I said Jeffrey Nunberg is going to be very determined here. And sure enough, he is. He dives to the inside, going into turn number 11. Gabe Harib ready to turn in, realises that the gap he wants to turn into is full of the Jeff Nunberg 296 challenge. Jeff Nunberg is our new race leader in Coppa Am. What about that, Henry?
So Sposato has released them. That's what's happened. I did notice.
Darren Bernstein's gone around.
During the previous lap, Orsini and Gallo dropped down the order, suddenly tumbled down the order. So
okay.
I don't know if they had a spin or some sort of an issue, and we didn't see what happened with Sposato. But Sposato has released that crew that were caught in behind him. This is it on the brass, contact on the way in, so just turned in across the car that had its nose up the inside. Hard to see.
That could have been Melissa Kosira, because she was right behind Darren Bernstein, I think I'm right in saying.
You're on board now.
So we're on board with Melissa Kosira right now, running P9 in Coppa Am. And there is the 193 car, which is running very slowly. That's Osvaldo Gallo. So Osvaldo Gallo in strife. So Jeff Nunberg now leading for Coppa Am. The Ferrari of Central New Jersey driver that you're looking at here is Osvaldo Gallo.
It was Gallo that fell down the leaderboard a moment ago. 7 or 8 places in one lap. I just saw him tumbling down the leaderboard. We were watching other brilliant battles out on track, as we should do. But with a field of 36 cars, stuff happens. Stuff happens.
Well, Jeffrey Nunberg, I said determination is something that Jeffrey Nunberg appears to have in absolute bucketfuls. And he was determined going into turn 11, and Gabe Harib is going to try and repeat the move, but he was not quite close enough to be able to do it. So this is a fight that's going on for the lead in the Coppa Am race between Jeff Nunberg, Gabe Harib. Steve Check is P3 for the Shell drivers. Really, really impressed with Mitchell Green, who's kept his cool, hasn't he? And he's 4.5 seconds up the road from Jan Bernier and Gary Ott. Bear in mind that Jan Bernier has got a 15-second time penalty against him.
Mitchell Green, 134.077, but even more impressively, he's just done that. He's just done his best lap of the race.
Wow.
With just 5 minutes 59 remaining. Your leader, who took his first ever pole earlier on today and was made up with it and said, I'm just going to try and hang on, is currently leading by, okay, the gap's not massive, but there's a 15-second, yeah, and there's a 15-second penalty as well for Bernier, who's 4.4 back. So it's nervous times now, isn't it?
But this would drop if the race finished now. It would drop Bernier down to what? Maybe even P8, P7, P8.
Yeah, it's actually where the field was stretched out. There was on the green lap after the safety car went in. Maybe one lap later, Bernier would have dropped outside the top 10. But where they've started to stretch their legs and stretch the field out a bit more, he's not going to lose out so much, but still going to be very disappointed. Yeah, Green's got the gap pegged. It's 4.5 seconds. Wow.
Jeff Nunberg is stretching his legs now over Gabe Harib. He's built up a margin between himself and the P2 driver that led right from the start, of course. So he's doing a good job, and so is Mitchell Green. Really impressive drive from the Ferrari Westlake driver, who's, you know, maintaining that gap, and he's just comfortable. He's able to focus on every apex that he needs to nail, Andrew.
What I love about this as well is you just never know when a driver takes a pole and then a win, and you have a good day. There's this belief then, I know I can do it. It's a personal best, you know. It's a runner going under what they've done before and going, okay, I can do it. And then when that comes, remember what we were saying earlier on about how much of a driver's pace is in their head. And it can release some people, and then you get a slew of those results. But let's see.
And of course, it will be worth significant amounts for his qualifying tomorrow, because you must go into your qualifying session tomorrow thinking you're king of the world.
You know you can do it.
Just interesting. I've noticed that that Bruce Cleveland, who was the other driver with that time penalty, has dropped way down the order. In fact, he's not even on the graphics on the left-hand side of your screen now.
Let me have a check on that. We've got
something has happened
here
to Bruce Cleveland. Is dropping down the order like a stone. So Mitchell Green leading from Jan Bernier and Gary Ott. Jan Bernier P2 on track, but he has got that time penalty against him. Jeff Nunberg leading for our Ram drivers ahead of Gabe Harib and Steve Check, who is P3. So there we're watching the Mitchell Green car. What do we got? 3.5 minutes of this race remaining. It's been as dramatic as we would expect the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell here in North America to be. So the overtaking's not all done yet, as you can see. As diving to the inside there goes another almost opportunity, and we're looking at Brian Walterstorff in the 111 car, the all-white car there. Flip-flop camera again. There's Kevin Orsini and Brian Walterstorff trading places as well, and there's Roy Carroll driving the 121 car, who's currently running P10, and Roy Carroll, race winner last season, that's for sure, and one never to bet against for foreign cars, Italia. Yes.
Bilicek's just nicked the point for fastest lap on the last lap, so these drivers are still proving what we said. Because the tyres were rested behind the safety car, there's still good tyre life at the end of the race. 133.8, just gone a couple of tenths quicker, so there's a point available, remember, for pole position, and there's a point available for fastest lap. And what do points mean?
Prizes. That's a car that has gone around and pointing in the wrong direction. Ed Vortigern, if I'm not mistaken. Sure enough, it is the Scottsdale Ferrari driver, Ed Vortigern. Thankfully, he manages to put his foot to the floor and get it out of that little sand trap, almost more than the gravel trap, wasn't it? Because if the car had been stricken there, it would have been in all sorts of strife. But he has got it going again. But what he'll do is distribute a fair amount of that loose stuff onto the tarmac as well, which is not terribly helpful.
It's not what Mitchell Green wants, is it, when you've got a lovely lead and you're trying to get that first win in the bank? I did check, and last year I think Green had one podium at Imola last year, but I haven't got the stats from the previous year in front of me. We think it's his first pole. This should be the first win.
That would have been at Finale Mondiali.
Yeah, it would, yeah.
Kind of a good place to have a podium, isn't it?
Absolutely.
This is Chuck Whittle and Bilicek then having something of a battle going on here. Bilicek running P5, Chuck Whittle running P4. So the good debut from Jarrett Bilicek then in Ferrari Challenge, that's for sure.
Well, fastest lap shows the pace is really there, doesn't it? You string a load of those together and suddenly you're right at the top of the table. Another driver who will have a big confidence boost.
Jeff Nunberg to seal his dominance, if you like, for Shell Am has just got past Andrew Parker, who's a Shell driver also. So Jeffrey Nunberg, with that determination that I was speaking about earlier on, is Look at that, moved up 11 places. As you can see on our tracker on the left-hand side of the screen, that's some movement from Jeff Nunberg.
And fastest lap in the class as well. That's what the little pink stopwatch means. So yeah, brilliant performance.
Yeah, he's done really, really well. The overtaking ain't done yet, but those are back marking cars that Chuck Whittle is getting past. Just wonder if the back end of that car has had a little bit of damage.
Yeah,
the Chuck Whittle car, you can see that.
Yeah, that's more than that
will
more
play
than
into. Sorry, I'm talking over
yeah,
you.
I was talking about the lap car. I thought was going slowly. Maybe not.
But that might, as the last lap flag comes out, the white flag is flown. I was just going to say, the Chuck Whittle back end might play into the hands of Bilecek, and there's not many things I say that's right.
Oh, I think there are, Dave. But there's 36 cars out. I'm wholly impressed with how many things you get right.
I think Bilecek is right up his trumpet here.
Oh, sideways on the exit of turn 1. Having a good old go.
This is for P4, but of course it won't be for P4.
Bernier's going to drop way down, so
this could be for the last podium.
Yes, if it's Whittle. Is Whittle on the? Yeah, Whittle's on the podium. Yes, it is.
So he wants to hold on to this, doesn't he? And Bilecek is certainly making it difficult for him. Wow, and backmarking cars they're coming up against, so they've got to try and it's like thread through a needle, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And if the backmarker car does the right thing, they'll normally move out the way, and that's really well done. Really well done. To have the awareness when you've got the quicker cars coming round behind you and not to get involved in their race is always what you want to do.
Oh, wow. Well, Mitchell Green, I'm hugely, hugely impressed. It's been a steadfast drive. When under pressure, you've not yielded to that pressure. And Mitchell Green then has got one turn to do. And then he will head towards the checkered flag. Here is the final turn to do that he's got to go through, which is taken almost flat as he heads towards the checkered flag. He is victorious. Mitchell Green, Jan Bernier crosses the line, P2, but he loses those positions. Look how happy Mitchell Green is. Gary Ott up to P2. It's going to be Chuck Whittle, who will be P3, ahead of Bilecek, and Jan Bernier continuing to drop down the order by dint of that time penalty that he got.
Gets 6th. Mike Chen's just crossed the line for 7th, so that's 22 seconds back. With the gaps, that's not so bad, is it? 6th with a 15-second penalty.
Oh no!
Last
the Coppa
corner.
Shell-Am. The last thing you need is Jeff Nunberg being turned around, and he's not going to get turned around. As Jeff Nunberg then, he goes through the king, heads towards the checkered flag. He will be victorious in Coppa Shell-Am, ahead of Gabe Harib and Steve Check. So well done to Jeffrey Nunberg. Said that he would be very, very determined, and that has certainly been the case. So Jeff Nunberg takes victory for the Shell-Am drivers.
Took a win here in race 1 last year, of course, at Sonoma, so it's obviously a track he really likes, Dave.
To be fair, Jeffrey is a driver that you cannot bet against, Andrew. He's one of those drivers that's always there or thereabouts.
It was an assertive move as well. I loved it.
It was assertive.
Late on the brakes, up
we
the
like
inside.
assertive.
We do like assertive. We like sideways and we like assertive. There's a couple of things for you for the rest of the year.
Well, I'm honestly, I am hugely impressed with how Mitchell Green drove that race. You know, he was thrilled with his pole position, quite rightly, but you know what? It would have been so easy to lose out right at the start of the race, and he didn't. He kept his cool, didn't he?
Yeah, really well done. And as you say, with safety cars and all the rest of it, that's added pressure. Okay, you could argue the safety car takes away 15 minutes of people having a crack at you, but there's also 15 minutes to think about it. It's another start to hold on to, and it was, just really nicely done.
Here are the results in full for you then, and let's bring them to you. Mitchell Green taking the win from Gary Ott, then Chuck Whittle P3, Jarrett Bilecek, Brad Evans, Jan Bernier relegated to P6 due to his time penalty, then it's Mike Chen, Lisa Clark, good result for Lisa, then John Lennon and Roy Carroll, they occupy the top 10 places, ahead of Kevin Orsini, Brian Waterstorff, Richard Pineda and Alberto Duran. Winner in terms of the AM drivers, Jeffrey Nunberg. He was ahead of Andrew Parker. Then Gabe Harir, P2 in the AM drivers with Steve Check, P3, because he was behind Joe Sposato. Then it was Paul Lynn, Michael Owens, Ed Vortigern, Stephanie Herfield, Matthew Herfield finishing together, Melissa Kozira, Jeffrey Keel, Ram Chada, and Helen Shue then. And they're ahead of Osvaldo Gallo, and then it was Darren Bernstein. And then Rachel Bayless, Al Heggie, Bruce Cleveland, Louis Flory, Henry Hummel, and Lance Corley. So that was a race and a half, and you can see the drivers then going into the Parc Ferme area, and they're going to get ready for podium celebrations that will be coming, of course. So, what a race, what a race. Punctuated, of course, by the full course yellow and the safety car, which was unfortunate, but, you know, these things happen in racing. All about managing those things. That's very much part of motor racing, isn't it?
I've said it already, I know, but there's nothing. Look at the joy particularly in the first win. You'll never have another first win, and we're pretty sure it is in Ferrari Challenge, and I love it. I just love the energy.
Yeah.
Even with helmet and sunglasses on, you never know what emotion those eyes are showing, but it's great to see.
Team boss Roberto Amorosi was first there to congratulate, wasn't he? You can see Eric Marston there congratulating Mitchell Green. I know they're good buddies in the paddock, as Jeff Nunberg is going to jump out of the car right now. He's being assisted because the cars and the belts and the hands device, everything is such a, the integral safety of these Ferrari Challenge cars is such that, it's not the work of a moment getting out of the car.
Put it this way, it's hard to do it gracefully. I'm coming in and out of race cars at all sorts of angles. Sometimes you end up with your hands on the feet and climbing out through the side of the roll cage.
Mitchell Green, many congratulations from us. He is with Nina Jade Paul right now.
Mitchell Green, you called the lap of your life when you clinched pole this morning. Was that the race of your life?
That was pretty good. Home track. It was a lot of fun. I was trying to just be consistent, brake here, turn here, just lap after lap after lap. So
it was a very dominant performance, Mitchell.
The sun was shining.
We love the sun. It was a dominant performance. What went through your mind when the safety car came out and you were sitting in P1? Were you nervous for the restart?
I was, because I had Jan behind me, and Jan Bernier he's a good friend. He's also very fast. But like when I started, I just knew, and I knew what Massimo did, and jumped the start. So I waited for the green and went and I got a good jump on Chuck, and it was a good race. It was fun. It was clean, and it was good.
Congratulations.
We only had one yellow, so.
Good, congratulations.
Good.
Well
Thank
deserved.
you so much. Appreciate it.
Fist pumps for the winner. Happy with a home win. Good job. Hugs down in that holding area. Parc Ferme at the end. Photographers in the background. Had tons of people here this morning. I could see members of the public bringing cameras in, taking photos of the many 296 Challenge cars we've got here, among all the other beautiful Ferrari kit which has been on display both at Casa Ferrari and out on track. It's been a great first day for Ferrari Challenge North America. Day 1 of 2025 done. Double headers, of course, right the way through the season. 7 rounds over here, and then we've the Mondial final in Italy. Okay, Jeff Nunberg, the winner of our Shell AM category, is with Nina Jade. Now, let's see how pleased he is with that brilliant pass down at turn 11 for the lead.
The lovely Jeff from P6 to P1. Overall, you made up 11 places in this race. You've got to be happy with that.
I'm pretty happy. I don't even know. It hasn't hit me.
Talk us through what
It's just some good passing. It was these cars are hard to pass, and the guys are blocking, so you can't pass, and just picking my opportunities to pass. I've had a great coach this year. I got a great team. The car was set up really. I didn't have a great qualifying, but we knew that the car was going to run long well. And unfortunately, I got hit in the beginning of the race, which sort of took it a little bit out of tune, and I had to fight that, but it was a great race.
I mean, you had such a dominant performance, Jeff. Did any tyre management come into it towards the end, towards your final laps, or were you just pushing hard?
I was pushing hard, and I was thinking, I hope I don't burn up the tires. There was no management whatsoever. I'd be lying to you. There was.
Well, congratulations again,
thank
Jeff.
you.
Well done.
It's a pleasure to meet you again. Take care.
Again.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So there we have it then. Great to hear from Jeffrey Nunberg, from myself, and also from Andrew Coley and Nina Jade Paul as well. Thank you for watching. More qualifying and more racing to come tomorrow. Can't wait.